Actually, is Mama Diane in the house? Mama Diane, are you here? Okay, this one is for you because I knew I recognized you from which camp? Hey, you got to hold it down everywhere. Okay, everywhere. We got to be everywhere. And so this song, actually, I was driving. I'm from D.C., and I'm also live in Oakland, so I live in both places. And I was driving down Rock Creek Parkway. How many people know Rock Creek Parkway? Bam! Okay, so I'm driving down Rock Creek Parkway. You know how fast they go. This is on the East Coast. In D.C., driving. And I was listening on my phone. It was on, whatever, speaker thingamajig. And my friend called me and she said, "Girl, turn on the TV. The witches are at the Pope's house and they are banging on the gates going, 'We are the witches and we have returned. We are the witches and we have returned.'" I was like, ooh, that is a song. So here you go. And I swear, honey, right? I was pulling out napkins out of my little glove box. I was like, ooh, I gotta write this down right quick. So I wrote this song down. So this is for all the powerful sisters and brothers and conjurers and holders of the magic of transformation that some may call anger, but I call that's time when you got to conjure. When you have to conjure and you have to transform that negative experience or whatever it is that's bringing you up and wanting you to flip over that table, sister. That's right. You got to go in that conjure space and you got to cook it up and put it in your cauldron. So here we go. Oya kaka chongo predula ye, oya kaka. Oya kaka chango predula ye, oya kaka chango predu samayo, masamayo, 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 masamayo. As we walked through the forest and danced the drums by firelight, we could feel our spirits soaring, sailing upwards into the night. As we sang all our chants to Orisha, native spirit, Hindu, Buddha, pagan, moon. And as we threw stones and bones down onto Mother Earth, we could hear this ancient tune. For we are the witches, and we have been burned. We are your power source within that you must learn. We're intuition, crying to be heard. We are the witches, and we have returned. Yeah, raise the roof, yeah. Ooh, yes. As we were hearing your voice calling our names, Maya, 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 in the water, in the air, in the creatures everywhere. For we are the mystics, and we have been burned. We are your power source within that you must learn. We're intuition, crying to be heard. We are the mystics, and we have returned. Although chains tried to enslave us, and the whips, they cut our flesh, evil ones were forced upon us, but our spirits, they could not crush. Through gas chambers and slave ships and remnants of a war, we've survived through our children and our chants. And the bones that lie in the womb of Mother Earth hear us through our singing and our dance. For we are the soldiers, and we have been burned. We are your power source within that you must learn. We're intuition, crying to be heard. We are the soldiers, and we have returned. For we are the witches, and we have been burned. We are those mystics deep within that you must learn. We are the soldiers, crying to be heard. We are your conscience, and we have returned. We have returned. We have returned. We are your conscience, and we have returned. Oh, Ashe! Yes. We're not going to be bored today. We're not going to be bored today. Hello, my sweet family. How y'all doing? At this beautiful gathering of amazing beings. Thank you for taking the time to come today amidst the smoke, but you're here to take care of your soul, your spirit. And so we're here to be on point and on purpose. And just so you know, it's not going to be me up here giving a soliloquy. We're going to sing. We're going to do what we're doing right now. So give yourself a round of applause right about now. You know, it's really interesting to me how people are afraid of the word witch. What it actually means, powerful woman, medicine woman, conjure person, somebody who can take things and transform it. And that's what we're all about. You know, I sing that song. So many people are like, oh, you know, it's fun. DC, they have a basketball group called the Mystics. So they were like, ooh, you say the word mystic. Can you sing this at the start of the basketball game? I was like, sure. They were like, okay, send us a copy. So I sent them a copy. They were like, can you change the word witch? Can you make it healer or wish? We are the wishes. I was like, so it's inherent, like the people were saying in the panel, the brothers and sisters that were speaking on the panel, and all of us, it's inherent in us to try and keep it easy, breezy, light. Conflict is challenging. So anybody that pushes up against that, the conjure folk, the medicine people, that's all of us. And so it is our duty, it is our calling to be the ones to conjure it up and stir that pot and stoke that fire. And that metaphysical, that metaphorical fire that's within all of us, we cannot be afraid of it. And so I call all of you all now to just remember that. Remember that you are on point and on purpose when you feel your power. That internal power that allows you to be your fullest self with your fellow comrades and cahooters that are right here. So raise the roof. Yes. And now we're going to close our eyes and we're going to remember the fellow cahooters that came before us, the ancestors whose bones we walk on. Amikaeyla, odo. Amikaeyla, odo. Bobo ashe, ise mi saramawo. Amikaeyla, odo. Aye. Now that's your line. You all say, aye. Yes, so then when I point to you, you say, aye. Yes, we are called on our African ancestors and honor them and all the energy around us. Aye. We give them highest praises. Highest praises to everyone's ancestors, whether they're from here or there, all around us. We are all one. Highest praises to the light that lives inside of you. Highest praises to Great Spirit, the owner of the womb, the owner of the day, the owner of the night, the owner of breath. Highest praises to the dead that sit at the foot of Jah. May he rest in peace. May she rest in peace. May they rest in peace. Amikaeyla, odo. Can you hear how the sound aye sounds like ashe, aho, and amen? Can you feel the power of one breath, one sound when it all does resound in spirituals and prayer? May we be in peace. May we be in peace. May we all be in peace. Woo! That gave me the chills. Woo! Yes, baby. We're here. We're thanking all of our ancestors. Everybody and every name that we call to all of the devas, the energies, the celestial beings that are all around us. We have them all here with us because, yes, Ashe, we are in an extraordinary moment in time. A time when we need to muster all of our courage, corral all of our community, and call on all of our ancestors. We need the medicine from the plant spirits, animal spirits, and all the elemental spirits, orishas, devas, or all the celestial beings named that you can think of to surround us and come forth and stand witness in directed action and in strong solidarity for our powerful present, our powerful now. Because, my darling and empowered family, we are in a time where not only we can make a difference, we must. We must. We must. Hey, let's get it clear. We must. Side note, I love languages and etymology, so I looked at the word must, right? The word, where does this come from? And it literally means to be compelled, as if by intoxication. And it describes a state when elephants are in heat. They are in must. And hey, did you see Black Panther? Please tell me. If you haven't seen it yet, run, don't walk. Hey, because when they were in that scene, when the warrior was there and the rhino came over and licked her face, I was like, oh, that's must right there. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about conjuring this innate drive that defies logic and calls you to go beyond the ists and the isms of our body wrappers, and into the beauty of our communal molecular connections, and continue to dare to hope, dare to dream, dare to be dauntless, fearless, brave, courage that we were talking about. We have to muster that courage. We must, even when we're tired and weary and feeling lost and alone. And there's that word alone, all one. That's literally what it means, wholly oneself. And that's what this whole conference is about, right? Being fully yourself, on point with your global purpose. You are all one with that. So we are all one, even when we are alone. For we are all connected and a part of this intricate universal elemental system, the spirit, the water, the land, the animals, each other, the system that endures and thrives amidst the chaos of creation that Brother Man was just talking about just a minute ago. So if there's something out of balance, we must restore that connection. And the way to restore that balance is to remember that we are all one. We are all our relations. I'm a member of the Lakota Women's Singers Lodge, and so I want to teach you a chant I wrote for the start of each sweat before every time we prayed at Sundance. So repeat after me. I am a child of earth. Yes, that's so beautiful. And of starry heaven. Yes. My race is of heaven. My race is of heaven. And earth. And earth. Yes, that was so beautiful. You're a relative to me, and I'm a relative to you, and all of us to each other through the common fabric of earth and starry heaven, in addition to the beautiful diversity of our body wrappers, skin color, age, gender, size, shape. You know, when the panel was talking, I was like, we were talking about like ways that we hold it in, and that anger he was talking about when he holds it in. And when I was traveling, this is a real quick side story, when I was traveling in Azerbaijan, that's where I was. I was in Azerbaijan, and I was noticing people, you know, anytime I go anywhere, people see somebody like this, and I walk around like this every day, let's be clear. Every day, I'm rocking this. Not the same joint, but, you know, this similar vibration. And I was walking down the street, and I realized, you know, even here, even in New York, or anywhere, people, they don't think, they expected me to dip to the side. And they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, so I was like, I'm going to do my own social experiment. I'm going to take up out the sidewalk. We're going to see who moves first, and like playing chicken on the sidewalk. And you know, like, I was raised Catholic, honey, so I was used to being like, I'm so sorry, sister so-and-so, and pastor so-and-so, and priest so-and-so, and such and such. Not anymore, Shug. I'm walking down the street big like this to see how we are going to negotiate even the moment of being courteous to one another and passing jointly, sharing the space. Anyway, that's my own little thing. I thought about that on the panel. I was like, I got a story to tell. I'll tell all of you all that. But you know, I have to remind myself in that moment that we're all part of each other. We are all in this together. And so like brother was saying earlier, you know, when he feels that anger, that pain that the little girls felt when they each turned away from each other, they both felt that pain. And so I know in order to love myself fully, I have to remember to love El Jefe Capitan, Captain Cheeto. And hey, I sing lullabies to his pre-damaged inner child rainbow unicorn every night. I'm like, come on, baby, wake up. Wake up. Mm-hmm. Wake up, my baby. Wake up, because that's the only way we're all going to heal, is if we focus love on healing our brother too. For real. And so in honor of all of that great big universal love and connectedness, I want us all to do a conocimiento. It's a focused exercise. So in light and in lieu of everybody already closing their eyes and getting their feet on the ground, we're just going to do a really quick guided journey. We've already connected to the core of the earth. We already know how that feels. But this time I want you to go with me to the ocean, because we're going to talk to Mama Yemaya. Because the mother and goddess of the ocean, she has a gift for you. Yemaya sesu, hasesu Yemaya. In this beautiful shell, she has a gift for you. And this item is just for you to help you remember. Yemaya sesu, hasesu Yemaya. Yemaya sesu. Asesu Yemaya, Yemaya olodo, olodo Yemaya, parawayo Yemaya olodo, olodo Yemaya. She wants you to remember back to a time when you had to muster courage, when you had to be brave and outside of yourself and your skin, because you must. You have to. It's for your well-being inside and out. And it could be something as simple as arguing with the PG&E person on the other phone about your bill, or mustering the courage to ask someone, like when you were a young person, to dance with you at the dance, or to talk to your neighbor and have that hard conversation, or your sister friend at the conference about I versus we. Yemaya sesu. Remember that time when you had to muster courage. Feel it, smell it, feel it rolling off your skin. Remember what it looked like, the light of day. Asesu Yemaya, Yemaya olodo, olodo Yemaya. And with your eyes still closed, remember what it felt like to step outside of your comfort zone, to be part of something bigger. It drove you. Your invisible angel wings that flew you out to be your biggest, fullest, most authentic self. And be there now. And as you slowly come back into your body, wiggle your toes, your fingers, and gently open your eyes, and remember that we are part of a circle within a circle with no beginning and never ending. When did you have the courage to access your highest self and heal thyself in addition to your community? When were you fully in your power and your purpose, experiencing true human triumph in being your complete self so that you're in full alignment? That's what brought you here to this conference this weekend, with the fires and the smoke and the this and the that and the Saturday night, da-da-da. You here. You're here. And you're here with your people, with your comrades, with your cahooters, with your community. You know, when I'm afraid and feeling alone and not all one, I think of this old spiritual my grandmother used to sing to me when she would rock me. She would sing, by and by, when the morning comes. And like everyone on the panel was sharing earlier about how we're all masala, we are all a quilt of different cultures. And that's why race as a social construct is so ridiculous, because we are all everything. We are all everything. And some of us have more of a story in this particular area. You know, when I sing songs that are from my people, Cherokee as well. Both of my grandmothers, full-blood Cherokee. But when I sing the songs, people look at me cockeyed because I don't look the part, right? And as a fellow Rasta brethren, not only do we have to walk the world being black and a woman and big walking down the street, I'm also dreadlocked. So people are like, you got some weed? You got some weed? You got some weed? I'm like, not on me, dude. What I look like? Well, my grandmother would sing, by and by, when the morning comes, my sweet mama will carry me home. Whoa, she will tell me the story of how we overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. And this would soothe me so much because I had so many questions. I was so confused about so many things as a little girl. I got called the N-word all the time, so much so that I thought it meant the new kid that moved into the area. So when a new little girl moved in next door with blonde hair and blue eyes, I ran up to her and I was like, N-word! And everyone looked at me and they realized the dissonance, you know, that playbook she was talking about for the little children. I didn't understand what that word meant, but I was called it so much when I first moved into the neighborhood. I thought that's what it meant. Understand it better by and by. We've got to have hope and so much despair. And when I'm feeling really down and out, I remember the Queen of Queens, Harriet Tubman. Honey, like for real, I remember Harriet Tubman. And I think about what that sister had to muster to do what she did. Talk about resilience and grit. What if we could all access that? That's what I'm talking about. I went home back to D.C., you know, this whole trippy masala of the transient and the slave, you know, homegrown and everybody who's from someplace else because the government's there, and the powerful and the impoverished and the descendants of the indigenous and the slave. And I went to commemorate the opening of the beautiful African American Museum. Has anybody been there yet? I mean, this museum is, honey, off the chain. And I went there to be with family and friends and to be part of these festivities and perform and from near and far and to remember. Send it better by and by. Remember not only my ancestors and what they went through when brought chained in boats across the Atlantic and were bought and sold like chattel to others who viewed them as animal, as product, as disposable. My sweet mama will carry me home, or how this country that we all live in and we work under these systems of inequity and how it all came to be. She'll tell me the story, how we overcome. When I start getting elections and voting, and how do we get him out? Changing. Understand it better by and by. I remember how we survived and thrived and continued to live and give and share and care and be mothers and grandmothers and fathers and grandfathers and daughters and brothers and children of the earth, sand, salt, sea, dusk, and dawn. And we'll understand better by and by. And as I stood in front of Harriet Tubman Shaw and her prayer hymnal and wept, I remembered these things, her courage, her words of intrepid spirit, the fact that she ran by moonlight through the trees, felt the moss and the lichen to determine the right direction, ate plants from the earth, kept her strength, drank from the streams, and swam across rivers to make the freedom better by and by. I wept because I remember that I am her, and she is me. She is all of us. She is our story and our now. And whenever I spiral into sadness and despair and watch the news and lament the state of affairs of our country and the world and women and children and people of color and immigrants and the poor and how sexism and racism and all the isms are still alive and well and how we face it regularly and despite how it wears us out, brother, I feel you. The fight and struggle for equality and the constant need for discussion and correction, and along with the average quote of I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, I remember that my ancestors had to face this every day, and then some, and then some, and then some, and then some, but they stood strong and powerful and carried on, and I am their legacy. Hey, that's right. And you are the legacy of your ancestors, their hard work, their knowledge, your Italian immigrant daddy baby, what? Their survival spirit. So not only do you owe it to yourself to live a long and powerful life, you owe it to them as well. Don't sleep. You owe it to them as well. That goes for everyone, everywhere, because if one of us is feeling lost and impoverished and alone and in pain, we all are. Homo takuyasin, we are all our relations. We are all part of this world. We are part of the same organism. So when the hip bone that's connected to the knee bone gives out and lays caca to the side, I don't know if y'all know that phrase. That's a southern phrase. Caca to the side, that means you out of whack. We all caca now and lay to the side. And yes, my people are from the South. I come from a long lineage of healers. Both my grandmothers were Cherokee. They were both herbalists and dirt poor. But talk about grit and purpose. They used what they had and made do to make sure that their children had what they needed to survive. My great-grandmother Anna used her knowledge of plants and herbs to become a famous baker and restaurateur in Oxford, Ohio. And some say her recipe is the one that they use for Sara Lee. We don't know if that's true. That might be just some, you know what I'm saying? But who knows? Hey, back in the day, they could have been like, Auntie Sarah wants to have your recipe, girl. All we know is that the community knew that she would feed them every day out the back of her restaurant. And this is with Madam C.J. Walker. So, you know, being an entrepreneur back in the day for a sister is a hard thing, and that made you a target. Like we were talking about earlier, the wrath of being visible and invisible. But she knew, everybody knew the secret path to the back of her restaurant. So the hobos, she was part of the trail. People would say, where can we get food? Right over here at Grandma Anna's house. I remember that, and that gives me hope and faith so that when I'm giving the homeless brother or sister a granola bar or a $1, I don't have to go through the digga, oh, my, la, la, la. This is what we do. This is how it goes. And she showed that to her children. And her children showed it to their grandchildren. My mother, my other great-grandmother, Mariah, and her sister Running Bear were fresh off the Trail of Tears and found shelter with my great-grandfather, an escaped slave in Paducah, Kentucky. And let me tell you something. I went back to Paducah, Kentucky this past summer for a family reunion. And my pops called me on the phone, and he was like, so I know you are an activist, and you know you like to raise the roof and cause a lot of, this is from a former Black Panther, be clear, right? Okay, so he, you know, hey, it's infused, right? He said, I need you to not mention, you know, the Native American stuff at the family. I said, that's who we're gonna go see. We're gonna see all the, what you talking about? All the Native, what are you, we going to the grandmommy side of the family? No, I know, it's a sensitive topic. So the isms aren't just between white and black, talk about duality. It's between all kinds of different communities. And so he was like, no, I need you to not. And he mentioned it one time. I was like, oh, maybe he was drinking, I don't know. And he mentioned it again. And I was like, what's going on? And he mentioned it a third time. Finally I said, Daddy, Pops, what's going on? He was like, you know, nobody likes to talk about the fact that your great-grandfather purchased your great-grandmother. So there was a practice of slaves purchasing folk off the Trail of Tears. They call it purchasing. They were saving them. You know, like people were trying to get away from that whole migration, but it's considered a purchase. And so it's this very sore, sensitive spot. But you know, it's that ancestral connection that we have lots of wounds to heal within ourselves, within our families, within our communities, all of us. Again, Homo takuyasin. Hey, she became the town herbalist and naturopath. She made poultices and bartered her herbal remedies for chickens, lumber, or yarn. And her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, myself, they all became doctors, botanists, biologists, psychologists, scholars, herbalists, all healers, and educators around medicine and the restorative properties of plants. And I would bet that each of you have some ancestral connection to a lineage of people who are somehow drawn to be in service and help heal the world. Yes, you do. It's not coming out of nowhere. That's right. That's why all of us are here today, to find and feel our power and purpose that is genetically calling to us. We are drawn on an ancient cellular level to dig deeper into our psyches and muster the courage to make changes in ourselves and our communities. And we will be called right now. It's not tomorrow. It's like, let me finish my degree first, da-da-da. No, it's right now. You are being called to claim to be your bigger selves and to be beyond. The time is now to live our fullest lives and contribute to our fullest selves with joy and openness, using all of our senses to the fullest. My favorite quote is by Helen Keller when she said, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And with that, I say this to you, feel with your heart the change you want to be, for we are all children of earth and starry heaven. We are all superheroes, and if we dare to be dauntless, we can be inspired by the world and be inspiring for the world. My life is dedicated to guiding and empowering people that you've been seeing in this video, if it's happening, of people that have been coming through the ocean. Help them discover their authentic voices and step confidently into accessing it all the time, no matter where they're from, how much money they have, the color of their skin, or their status in the home, village, or society at large. As a cultural ambassador, I work with refugees and those whose social, cultural, and political situations limit their freedom an ability to access and express their opinion. I was just in Kazakhstan, and we were talking about, government stuff and da-da-da-da, and blah, 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 president, blah, blah, blah. Finally, I said to this one sister, I said, where do you all go to talk about political stuff and all the rest of that? If you're disgruntled, what do you do? Where do you talk about it? She said, looked me dead in my face, and she said, only from jail. So be clear, we are blessed to be in this space, to have freedom of speech and talk about it with ourselves and with one another about how we're going to muster the courage to make that powerful jump to change. When there's a lack of hope and imagination due to poverty, anger, exhaustion, and despair, there's a need for the magic and medicine of music. And I know firsthand the need for that magic because I was killed in a hate crime. Yes, I was murdered. I was run over by 5 white guys driving a big white truck who came out to Michigan Women's Music Festival. This is when I was in medical school, and they decided they were going to come check out the dikes. And they saw me, a little black one, sitting out in a big old field of purple flowers. I pulled up. I was like, ooh, look at that field of flowers. I'm a flower child. Woo! I'm going to stay over there. And right before I had left to go to this festival, my fiance, this big brother who used to always get stopped by the cops too, he was really, really, really psychic. And he kept dreaming these dreams about me getting run over by this big white truck. And so I was walking down the streets of D.C. like, white truck, I'm looking for the white truck. It was the last weekend before I went off to Michigan. And I went to this big old field of flowers, and here come the white truck, girl. I didn't even see it, too. I was looking at the flowers. It was so pretty. And then I hear, rah, 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 rah. And they were playing ultimate frisbee. I don't know how to play that, but they were throwing it back and forth, trying to make a goal and things. And so I was like, oh, somebody scored something over there. And they were like, rah, rah, screaming, screaming. And I turned around, and wham! And I was rolling, rolling, rolling under this truck. And I remember thinking, I got to remember to tell Mark he was right. Here goes this white truck, right here. I got lodged under this wheel, and it made the truck stop. And I was stuck between the tire and the exhaust. And they tried to roll me over again and to keep going to get free. And all of these women from the festival surrounded this truck and were banging on the door trying to get them out. And these 5 white boys in this big white truck were scared for their lives. And it turns out one of them was the mayor's son. Ho, ho, ho. So don't you know he got off scot-free. But check it. When I was underneath that truck, I saw these sparkly little orbs like start pulling this gauze off of me. And I knew that was my spirit. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm dying. Holy caca, I'm dying. And all of I was raised Catholic, but I haven't practiced, I haven't been to church in forever. I'm gonna tell you right now. But everything was flooding back to me like, oh my God, I lied on my driver's license. Does that count? Does that count? About my weight. Oh my God. So I started trying to think of songs I could sing to stay in my body. Because I remember this movie, Flash Gordon, from when I was a little kid, where this guy, his brain was getting sucked out and all of his memories were getting sucked out. But the way he stayed present was he remembered to sing. So I started singing the Beatles. And so I was like going down the list of all the Beatles songs. Yellow Submarine. No, I don't know the words. I'm like trying to remember all these things. Meanwhile, this thing is steady pulling this gauze off of me. All of a sudden, I see underneath this truck, this being. She had these long arms, and she was pitch black, and had long blue hair, and she was, and she came up to me, and she laid down and wrapped her arm around me, and it went all the way around me, and she laid her head right here, and she was like, just relax, just let go. And I was turning on her like, no, man, make her put this thing back. My mom is going to kill me if I die out here. This is not even a joke. She was like, just relax, just let go. And I stopped breathing, and I left my body. And they always talk about in like near-death experiences, you go to the light of your understanding. Like if you're a little kid, you go to your parents' bedroom, or if you're a lawyer and you love being a lawyer, you go to your office, whatever it is. You go to this light of your understanding, right? And so mine was, because my parents also did a lot of traveling as cultural ambassadors, they would book flights at night. And so I was used to the setting sun. So I went to the setting sun. And I remember I was there, and I was one with everything. Like I could feel the air, I was cellular. I was back to the beginning. Like I could feel the air through me. I could feel the clouds. Everything was spectacular. And I was like, oh my God. Just the minute I started to try and embrace that dynamite, like, oh, I'm dead. And this is kind of fabulous. I heard, Amma from Mahije, oh, Amma from Mahije, Amma from Mahije, oh, Amma from Mahije, which I'd never heard before. I don't know what those words were. When I came back, I found out it means from mother to mother God. And when I came back into my body, it was the first time I was racked with pain, and I see the light being lifted up off of me, and everything was crushed. My ribs were crushed into my lungs. I had a hemothorax, pneumothorax. My legs were crushed. Everything was busted. I had third-degree burns everywhere. Everything was jacked, and I was bleeding out onto the ground. I was bleeding out, but I was like this, yeah, I'm alive. I was grinning from ear to ear, but the people who lifted up the truck didn't know that. They were like, say her name, oh my God, she's grimacing with pain. So I had to tell jokes to get them to be quiet, so when they were laughing at the joke, I could actually breathe. So I was like, did you hear the one about the lesbian who tried to cross the road? This is what happened. And they'd go, ha, 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 and I go, because I had no air in my lungs. And the story goes on and on and on, and I wish we had so much more time to do that, but check out my TED Talk, Dare to be Dauntless. It is there, the whole out-of-body experience. All of that to say is that we all, every day, however we choose to manifest our lives, have an opportunity to step into our power and embrace the dynamite of being heart to heart with someone. Heart to heart with your true voice, your true expression, your true self, wisdom and power to be there, to be present, to be alive, to be in love with the person in front of you. Last story before we go. I was asked to be on a panel at this, it was like in DC, you know, they have like these doublets. We were gonna be on the news. So there's like a Republican and a Democrat, they were gonna fight it out, and then a conservative person and a, liberal person. And then it was myself and the Grand Wizard of the KKK. No lie, right? And everybody were backstage and they were getting ready to go live on the news, and all these little pairs of people were, talking to each other about how they were debating how they were gonna argue with one another. And me and this brother were just like staring ahead at the curtain like nothing was going down. And I was thinking, this is totally ridiculous. Like, everybody else gets to, like, be in conversation. If we were at a bar and he wasn't wearing all that crazy, what would I say to this brother? Like a fellow human being. What would I say? So I turned to him and I said, excuse me. And with all this dong, came turning towards me. And I said, I have one question for you. How do you keep your whites so white? And this is not even an exaggeration. This is literally what he did with his body and his voice. He said, Clorox, honey. I was like, oh, you part of the Rainbow Connection. Now I can talk to you. And there was this, we sat back there while everybody else was talking about what they were going to argue about. We talked about laundry. We talked about how we wash our clothes. We talked about, oh, honey, you should try this. Oh, baby girl, blah, 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 blah. So that when it came time for us to be on the news, and everybody else was like, rah, 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 he was like, well, I'm not sure about her experience, but in my experience, blah, blah, blah. Like, there was this compassion that we didn't even have to, like, concoct. It was just real. I'd be like, oh, I'm not sure about his experience, but, so much so that the people got mad at us. They were like, we were expecting a fight. They wanted us to be mad and argue. But when you conjure and you cook it up, and you take that anger and you embrace that dynamite and you make it into something even more powerful, that bridge that they were talking about, and you come together and you decide, this is going to be bigger than us. Bigger than the ists and isms that we live in every day with our communal body wrappers, however diverse they may be. We're going to be human. We are going to be children of starry earth and heaven, the magic that can be made. I love you all. Yes, be powerful, be purposeful, be beautiful. I love you. I say. To love to all of you, my brothers and sisters. Yes. Love. Oh my God. Yes. Let me get outside.